cameras away and has like all of my hair in my face.
Oh,
That's
it's
where
okay. Oh, okay. Win owed
Nicole.
Nicole is the teacher that I went to the first class. It was hardcore herbalism. Great, awesome class. She taught 2 other classes. And so, Nicole, tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'm a Sagittarius. I enjoy gin martinis and long walk on the beach.
That's perfect.
Perfect. That's exactly what we
You
want
now
to hear.
know
Okay,
everything you need to know about Nicole.
It's important to know.
No, but what's your path? What's your tradition? How'd you get there?
Yep.
I've been doing spooky things for the better part of 20 years through a bunch of traditions, mostly spirit taught. I was initiated Georgian Wiccan at one point. I did other tradition things for quite a while. Got dragged kicking and screaming into fairy witchcraft in the last couple of years. So I kind of have just been mostly pulled by spirit guides. I grew up on a 13-acre farm, learning from a lot of things from land spirits and plant spirits that I later learned a lot of them were actually fae. And so that becomes a thing. And so it's been kind of a hodgepodge of wherever I needed to go and just learning from different people along the ways was appropriate.
It's really cool.
Now, I know that in addition to the hardcore herbalism class, you did teach 2 classes about fae tradition, didn't you? Okay.
Yeah.
What were those 2 classes about?
So mostly I like to teach these because there's a lot of really bad misinformation about the fae out there that are fairly dangerous, thanks to a lot of really romanticized Victorian ideals about the fairies as cute little lightning bugs that make your flowers grow really big. We've forgotten about a lot of the dangerous spirits like kelpies and a lot of the spirits that will just suck the life from your body, and why our ancestors had these rituals and things put into buildings for why they feared them and what you were supposed to do and not do. And so the Bonvisuto was talking about the idea that there's a lot of things on the internet, like there is, and that you can basically pay $300 to learn to become a fairy doctor, which was a very intense, even though it's kind of a dirty word, shamanistic relationship with the good neighbors. Biddy Early was a really popular example of this, where she could do incredible things. Something that she wasn't supposed to do. They would beat her and she would be bruised overnight. And people, I think, really romanticize the idea of a lot of these relationships where they want to look at the good parts. And I wanted to provide a healthy counterbalance to the history of what this could look like in like a modern day relationship like that.
Okay, that makes sense, because I know we've heard people off and on, and we don't really have a lot to do with the fae or the good neighbors,
Right.
but we've heard that if you do so with respect
Absolutely.
and with knowledge.
And there are rules.
And there are rules that
And they
you
might not
follow.
make sense to you, and it doesn't matter.
And it doesn't matter.
exactly.
You follow the rules because they've been around for a long
Yes.
time.
Yes.
And so we can't just, like you say, bring in these Victorian ideas of these cute little fairies that make
Right.
our flowers grow.
Right.
So I've got a question for you.
Uh-oh.
How do you feel about these little fairy gardens?
Yes, please. I am dying to know.
Oh God. So here's where I get to sound like a mean person. So I tend to talk about fairy interactions like worst case scenario. I mean, most people might stumble through a fairy circle. Most people might engage in malpraxis with the good neighbors and get out of it unscathed. The best, I mean, in most cases, if you want to go into your garden and you want to make a little shrine to flower spirits and you want to have your houses and your wagons and your cute little miniature unicorns that go in there, chances are it's completely harmless. It's just really important to remember. The problem is a lot of people doing this are pagan. It's the same reason I hate fairy doors, because fairy doors have become a decoration for nurseries.
Right.
And this was something that our ancestors were like. They used to leave open scissors and cribs so that the fairies wouldn't steal your kids. I mean, this is something they were terrified of. So similarly, like it would be really not horribly unthinkable for a pagan child who has more tied to the other worlds and maybe muggle, as much as I hate to use that word, maybe mundane families might, to be able to grab a fairy door and open it correctly that causes problems. The only time you're going to really run into a problem is where somebody is intentionally trying to lure the fae closer to their home. And then these are then a set of spirits that are listening to that call, who then have set of expectations that maybe that person isn't expecting to be held to. And that's where I become concerned. But again, most people, hopefully, there's no wood for me to knock on, aren't going to run into that, and it won't be a problem.
That's good.
Okay.
That's
Yeah.
good. And then I want to jump back to the hardcore herbalism class that you
Yeah,
taught.
she really enjoyed.
I enjoyed that immensely, and I know you said the reason that you do that is because herbalism, one, is becoming incredibly popular, and two, so is wildcrafting, and so it's incredibly important for people to pay attention to what it is they're picking, and to know if it is a poisonous or non-poisonous variety of mushroom, herb, flower, whatever, and and it guesses, and people can get really badly injured.
As we've said on the podcast before, just because it comes from the earth doesn't mean it won't kill you.
That's right.
Everything is edible once.
That's right. It's like I do Gwen's Garden Gems because I love to raise herbs, and I've really started wildcrafting my own yard.
Awesome.
But I don't put anything in my mouth until I can confirm 100% what that thing
That's a great
is.
practice.
And sometimes even then we don't.
And even then we don't, because I decide, I'm just going to use this for magic, and not worry about, I can buy my herbs that I want to make into tea for my health. If I'm not 100% positive, or if I haven't grown it myself. And so I always encourage people, if you're not sure, either grow it yourself, buy it, or and do your research.
I tell anybody who works with me that don't ever put anything in your mouth or bring it home until you can identify it down to species, because if you don't eat it, your cats might. And so when you're dealing with people with pets, that becomes a concern. So a lot of things are toxic to your animals, and being thoughtful about that. So
can you tell us a little more about what the intention was, and how you put together your hardcore herbalism? Because you got real scientific. You gave us things that we could observe about the leaf and the petals and things like that, to help us have a better chance at identifying what we're looking at.
So my degree is environmental biology. So I went to school with the idea that I wanted to bring people closer safely to the natural woods. There's a lot of dangerous stuff that people do, whether it's a bear or whether it's poison hemlock. These people aren't educated about how to behave properly. And I took this amazing botany course while I was in school that really focused on the plant family identification style of herbing, or not necessarily herbing in their case, but of identifying plants. And I really wanted to bring that to the pagan community, where then, okay, if you see a plant that has a circular leaf and 5-petal flowers, it is probably geranium. And here's how to differentiate that from other things, and to figure that out from the characteristics that make it really more intuitive and simple. Because a lot of the plant guides out there are really ambiguous, which is dangerous. I've seen really reputable plant guides swap bone set for white snake root. White snake root is toxic to the point where if cows eat it, the milk becomes poisonous. And so there's a lot of misinformation out there, and it really became important to teach people how you tell things apart in really simple, intuitive ways that are visual, versus you need to learn like all this medical terminology about different parts of a flower, which are super overwhelming to everybody ever.
Nicole thankfully put like the pronunciation on there, because you got these long Latin words, and you're like, okay, how do you say that phonetically?
Right.
So if people can't attend like your hardcore herbalism class in person, and they can't go get a degree in environmental biology,
you have $75,000 in your closet, right? That's
right.
Good. Let's do it.
How should they go about this process?
Where's the best knowledge to be gleaned from?
So that's the problem, is a lot of guides out there are really ambiguous, or they're extremely scientific. If you want another published book that, again, is going to have a lot of botanical terminology, there's a book called Botany in a Day, and I cannot remember the author's name to save my life offhand. But if you look him up on Amazon, he's good. I am in the process, so I do videos on my Living Roots Creations page every Wednesday, and I'm in the process of putting together a Patriots. I've had like 97 people ask me, why haven't you written a book yet? Because it's exhausting. And so what I'm trying to do is put together this kind of choose your own adventure herbal guide, where I'm going to give you indexes for like families and plants if you see round leaves, and if you see 5-petaled flowers, and then I'm going to make cards for all the different plants that I do Witchy Weed Wednesday, so you can put them in the category that's most intuitive to you. So what I really wanted was an herb guide that people could use to identify things in ways that make sense to them, versus ways that made sense to certain authors that either researched this from an herb book from 70 years ago, or that who have, like a PhD in botany, and they're thinking about it from a PhD in botany perspective, not somebody who is trying to identify geranium in their backyard.
And how do you feel about those apps? Because there's a lot of plant
ID
identification apps.
So I don't know if you remembered. So in the hardcore herbalism class, we did a little thing in the beginning where we said this is a good herb and this is a bad herb. And the problem is that if you're looking at species of mint, there is one, for example, that will help your stomach if you're upset, and one that will make you throw up. And the only problem I see with those apps is there are a lot of things in the same family. The mint family is a great example because what they're doing is it's kind of like using image search on Google. They're taking a picture and they're running it through a database for similar characteristics. And because a lot of plants will have similar characteristics, it's really easy for them to get the species wrong.
Okay.
And so it's not a bad thing for a starter, but you definitely want to cross-verify and search that until you can get characteristics confirming down to species. Again, it's really getting it down to, I know 100% before it goes in my body what I'm doing.
Right. Yeah. Again, if you can't tell, buy it or grow it.
Yeah.
So is there anything else you'd like to share with our viewers and our listeners as far as like working with the Fae or with herbalism or any of the other things that you're doing? And what are you going to be doing next?
Oh man, I am taking a lot of time spent with my kid because we've had a crazy couple of years. But I think that my goal is to really get that herb guide pushed out to people so that people going into this rest of this year and going forward kind of have that resource. People have asked me for it a lot. It's kind of my next goal. But I guess my only other word of advice is as far as fairy spirit work or plant spirit work goes, that not having to buy the entire farm and be like completely knee deep in everything is okay. It's okay to know what chamomile looks like, and it's okay to know what cinquefoil looks like. You don't need to feel the pressure to be,
an encyclopedia.
Exactly, because those exist for a reason. So their head does not have to be one, and you don't have to be the next fairy shaman and be on the Discovery Channel. Like, it's really okay just to feed them in midsummer and give offerings every full moon and call it a day, and that's good and fine. So I guess I would want people to feel like in order to be recognized as a good practitioner that they have to do all of the things, because that it gets pressed a lot on people and it's not healthy and it's overwhelming. So let's not do that.
And what are the best ways for people to find you on like Facebook, Instagram, that kind of thing?
Yeah, I'm on Facebook and Instagram as Living Roots Creation, so you can stalk me on there.
Okay, cool. Well, thank you so much for sitting with us, Nicole. We appreciate it. And again, I loved your class.
Thank you.
And I look forward to the book.
Yeah,
because I will definitely. You said on Wednesdays you
do a video.
Yep. So I'll be looking at those too.
Absolutely.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And I guess that's it for now. We'll come back and give you an update on how our class went and the panel that we hosted.
But right now we need a break.
Whatever. I can't even think of the word. Yeah, it has been.
Panel.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
It's been a busy day. So. Where?